My name is Tim Parody. I'm with the Center for Digital Strategies. I'd like to welcome Alex Dudley, who's here from Time Warner Cable, where he's VP of Public Relations. Alex, welcome to Tuck.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you. We just want to talk to you a little bit about social technology and how you're using it at Time Warner and the kinds of opportunities and challenges that you're seeing. So just straight off the bat, what are you doing right now in terms of social that you think is really providing the biggest bang for your buck, if you will? It's most effective.
We started with online customer care, which was a good low-hanging fruit for us, and that's paying real dividends. But what I'm most excited about is our corporate blog, which we've infused with a great personality, lifts the veil a little bit on how we do business, has a great sense of humor and a real voice. And that's really doing well. It's catching on with both our customers and other industry players are noticing it. So that's, I think, been our biggest accomplishment to date.
Now, is that, you mentioned that it has voice and that it has a bit of, sounds sort of authenticity.
Mm-hmm.
How do you, is that important to have that voice, to have that sort of individual tone to sort of demystify a large corporation? What's your sense there? Why does it work?
My sense is that the internet has a very low tolerance for inauthenticity. And if you're not going to be authentic, if you're not going to stay true to yourself, you really need to reconsider why you're doing it in the first place. What we set out to do is create a conversation. And nobody wants to have a conversation with someone who just blurts out messages. They want to have a real conversation. They want to participate. They want to learn something. They want to believe that their opinion matters. And so we kind of started with those as our core values. And the other thing that we truly believe is nobody really wants to read a corporate blog. So unless you make it interesting, you'll never have an audience. So.
Right, it would be a waste of time otherwise.
Mm-hmm.
So how have you seen the growth of the corporate blog change the way the company works internally? Have you seen departments that are sort of more willing to pull the curtain back and show what they do, or more excited to talk about what the projects they're working on?
I usually, this happened to me the other day. We were in this meeting with one of the top executives and a bunch of the legal team, and we're trying to decide what to do. And all anyone talked about was, can we get it on the blog? Can we get it on the blog? Is this going to be good for the blog? That was a real turning point for me. That's when I realized that everyone internally sees the value, has totally bought into the concept, and also appreciates the execution of it. It's really been an incredible change for us.
One of the things you mentioned as well is transparency, and people don't want to just read a corporate press release. They don't want to just hear sound bites of messaging. How important is that? I imagine it makes for some sticky situations at times, but how important is it to be transparent, to be, as open as you can reasonably be?
I think, where people have trouble with the concept is when they think that you have to tell everything. You don't have to tell everything. What you have to do is, if you're going to tell a story, you have to tell the whole story. And so it's not like you have to air your dirty laundry in public. If there are things you don't want to talk about, then by all means, don't talk about them. But if you do choose to engage in a topic, you can't just go halfway. You have to be willing to talk about both sides of the issue, or all the sides of the issue. You can't just kind of put your message out there and say that now we've heard from the voice of God and the rest is not up for debate. And I think if you're willing to talk about the topic, you have to be willing to go all the way. That doesn't mean that that you have to talk about every single thing that you're doing.
And what about being receptive to criticism as well? If you're going to put yourself out there as a company and you're going to have people, particularly one that has a large interaction with consumers, you're going to, of course, get negative feedback. How do you handle something like that? We're
cable guys. We're tough. We have a really thick skin at this point. People have been making fun of the cable company since day 2 of cable. So, we just we own it. We know we screw things up. We have a lot of transactions with customers every single day, and not all of them go as smoothly as we'd like. So we just kind of own it. We don't really hide from it. We don't pretend that it doesn't exist. And we try and have a little humor about it too. One of my favorite movie quotes is from Stripes, and I put this often on the blog or on my Twitter feed when someone's being hyper-aggressive about a small deal. And the line is, "Lighten up, Francis." We're selling cable here. This is not changing the face of the earth as we know it. It's, so we try and have a sense of humor about it.
That's great. That's interesting. So where do you see all this going then, if you look at a more transparent, open corporation that tries to, as you say, sort of pull the curtains back a little bit, let consumers in so they get an idea of how something as large as Time Warner Cable works. Where do you see social going in the coming years? How do you see it changing things?
You know, I think a lot of the beginnings of the change have already happened. I think that what's going to change next is the number of people taking advantage of that change. But I think we're satisfied if someone finishes reading an article on the blog and says, huh, I didn't know that. Or, oh, that's pretty funny. And they totally accepted the criticism and did it with humor. Or, I agree, or I disagree. If people are having a reaction, that's going to give them a better sense of what your brand means to them. And then the next time they have a chance to decide whether they're going to purchase or not, maybe they'll choose you. I think that's the best you can hope for.
Absolutely, it's interesting. It's good stuff. Well, I won't take up any more of your time, but Alex, we're so glad that you could join us, and thanks very much on behalf of the Tuck School and the Center for Digital Strategies.
Very good, my pleasure.
Thank you.